Fayetteville, and we can certainly get hurricanes. We certainly get severe thunderstorms. We get flooding events. We have winter weather events. And if you look up here, this cover slide is a tribute to some of the severe weather that we get. Back on April 16, 2011, anybody remember that day? Justin, what happened that day?
Giant tornado, you thought the lows and sand market, they must be controlling part very much out of
Okay, that was an infamous day in North Carolina weather history. Over 30 confirmed tornadoes struck North Carolina. Normally, we only have 30 in a year, and this was all in one day. It was phenomenal. And one of the first ones to report it, not the first, I think, was the one that struck Sanford. And this was the squall line with supercells embedded in it. And it hit the St. Andrews subdivision first in Lee County. And you can see it just lifted this house right off its foundation and dropped it. And then the tornado continued on after taking out the lows in Sanford. They came up to Raleigh, and this is what it looked like from one of the cameras that was up high. And it was rain wrapped, and it did damage in downtown Raleigh and in a mobile home park in the northern part of Raleigh. They continued on. Very destructive day. So let's enter the space. Is further work? And it does not. So Bob, enter it. See? Red chime.
It's rich one.
Let's see if this one will go. I got rid of it. Let's see. Okay. Don't you know?
Yeah, we'll do that.
Are you? 2011. Okay, so let's talk first a little bit about the National Weather Service in Raleigh. It is located on Centennial Campus near NC State, and it's very easy to spot this building if you were driving down the road. Here's the building, and if you looked up, you would see numerous antennas, satellite dishes, microwave dishes, etc. And that's because the National Weather Service occupies the third floor of this building. They don't own all this equipment up there. The North Carolina State Climate Office occupies the second floor, and they have part of the equipment that's up there too. Very easy to spot. Here's the operations room, and there are always 3 meteorologists on duty, 24/7. Should severe weather hit, then that staffing will ramp up. During the April 16, 2011 tornadoes, there were 12 of us there. And this is Skywarn, yes, where Skywarn folks would sit. That's where it's paid. Technology works, and that's my head right there. And you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and there was probably some more people back over at one of these other consoles. So this was a severe weather day. There are 122 local offices, of which Raleigh is one. And our Raleigh office has 24 employees, 17 meteorologists at the present time. Okay, there's 7 weather forecast offices that serve North Carolina. Raleigh National Weather Service is highlighted in the kind of gray blue color. If you live outside that area in blue, you're served by a different weather forecast office. Anybody outside that area? Okay, can you figure out which office serves you? We have Newport, Moorhead, and the green. The yellow is Wilmington. Morristown, Tennessee is the yellow over here. Greenville, Spartanburg, South Carolina office serves much of the mountains of part of the Piedmont area. Blacksburg, some of the border counties, and Wakefield, Virginia serves northeastern North Carolina. By the way, if you are taking this class and you are serving another NWS office, whether it's one of these other 6 or out of state, you will still get credit for this course. We'll make sure that your office receives the credit. Okay, so what does the National Weather Service do? Their primary mission is to protect life and property, and so the thing they do most is probably issue hazardous weather warnings. So when you see the banner that scrolls across the TV and it says severe thunderstorm warning, it didn't originate with the broadcaster. It originated with the National Weather Service office. When you see a watch has been issued, that originates out of Norman, Oklahoma, and then the NWS offices pick it up. The National Weather Service does other things. They prepare weather forecasts that can be daily forecasts, hour-by-hour forecasts, fire weather, marine weather, space weather, and more. And here's some of the other information that they provide for the public. They have radar information, weather, satellite, climate, safety information, forecast discussions, hazardous weather briefings, etc. And for about, I believe it's $3 a day, that's what it costs per citizen to do the National Weather Service, which is fairly cheap. Is that right for y'all? Okay. So Skywarn is not a ham radio program. Some folks are kind of surprised to hear that, but it is not a ham radio program. It is a program of the National Weather Service in which they train volunteers to provide timely reports back to them, which help them to issue, cancel, or perhaps extended warning. And that's what you're learning today, is what am I going to report and when? The focus is to save lives and property. And on the infamous day, 2011, again, I really highlighted it this time. This is a tornado that was in Wilson. Spotters differ from chasers. Somebody tell me what a chaser does. Usually it went because of the impact. Okay, he gave a great explanation. He says chasers are often found in the Midwest. They often take pictures and videos and they chase storms. And they're often chasing storms hundreds of miles even. We do not chase. In North Carolina, it's very dangerous because of the terrain and tall pine trees. A tornado would be on you before you even knew it. And National Weather Service does not encourage you to chase storms. So you're a spotter in that you're giving a report from a spot location. That might be your home, might be your work. You could be in the car headed home, but you see something and you report it back home, but you're not actively chasing. Okay, here's what the Central Carolina Skywarn station looks like at the Raleigh National Weather Service. We have 2 VHF and UHF radios, and we just got a new ICOM dual band that's presented to us right here at Christmas time by the Southeastern Emergency Communications Network. This is the morning coordination meteorologist, Nick Petro. And here's Central Carolina Skywarn coverage area, these 18 counties. Raise your hand if you live in the Central Carolina Skywarn coverage area. Okay, about 3/4 of them. Okay, the Triad Skywarn is also reports to Raleigh National Weather Service, and they include some of these counties right here. Okay. If you were looking at our station right here, and you went to this little corner, it would be an HF radio right there. So we have both capabilities, and very soon we'll have WinLink capability there as well. Okay, so why are spotters needed? I mean, good God, if you've ever been up to the National Weather Service office, and you can go, by the way, they have a lot of sophisticated technology and equipment. And so you think, why do they need my report? Well, the answer is radar and all the other sophisticated technology can't spot every instance of severe weather. And in fact, if you looked at a radar, if the beam would go, it's dual pole radar, it would go up at an angle. And so it misses what's happening on the ground. It can detect rotations in the cloud, but it can't tell what's happening at ground level, where you would be. So in the case of rotation in the cloud, is there a tornado? If you see the tornado, then yes, you spotted it instantly, but radar cannot. Radar is very good at detecting hail. It can estimate the size of the hail fairly well, but again, when hail falls and it's on the ground, your eyes are what sees the actual size of the hail and can make that one for you. Your reports add credibility to the warnings, and sometimes warnings even reference Skywarn spotters. Tornado has been confirmed on the ground by a spotter or by public safety. The public takes more heed to those kinds of warnings because they know that hazardous weather has been confirmed. Okay, so what makes a thunderstorm severe? It can take one of three things. First of all, hail that is in 1 inch in diameter or larger, or wind speeds of 58 miles per hour, or a tornado. Any one of those three. Lightning does not make a thunderstorm severe. Lightning happens in every thunderstorm. The National Weather Service has lightning data, and so please don't make a report of lightning to Skywarn or the National Weather Service. I find as I'm stepping away, my voice may fade a little bit. So on the back row, if I fade some and you can't hear me, will you raise your hand and let me know that I need to stand closer? Thank you. Okay. Okay, so we need to know the difference between a watch and a warning. A watch means conditions are favorable for severe weather to occur in and around the watch area. Doesn't mean it will occur. It just means all the right ingredients are there for something to happen. We've had watches before, long watches, where nothing happened. And then we've had watches issued and boom, within 15 or 20 minutes, everything starts falling apart quickly. Okay. You'll notice here's a watch box up here. And if you look carefully, it covers 3 states. It includes part of South Carolina, North Carolina, part of Virginia. That's a large area for a watch box. And most watches are for 4, 5, even 8 or 10 hours sometimes. A warning, on the other hand, means hazardous weather is imminent or occurring. It's either happening right now or it's getting ready to occur in your location. So you want to take immediate action to protect life and property. This is when you take cover, whether it's your house or work. Here's a polygon showing a severe thunderstorm warning, and you'll notice it only covers parts of about 3 or 4 counties. That's it. So it covers much less area, and usually the duration of a severe thunderstorm warning may be about an hour max, sometimes less. Watch, on the other hand, much larger area, longer period of time. Anybody ever get watches and warnings confused? I hear a lot of times it's hard to remember which one. Does watch means it's already here? So I want you to think about the cupcake idea, okay? Here you have all the ingredients for a cupcake. Is it a cupcake yet? No. By the time you mix everything together and bake it, you actually have a cupcake, so that's the cupcake warning. Cupcake's here. Over here you've got the ingredients. So a cupcake watch is equivalent to a thunderstorm ingredients watch. A cupcake warning, actual severe thunderstorm. Okay. Sometimes you'll see an advisory. An advisory is just a statement that is issued when hazardous conditions exist, but yet are not severe enough to meet the parameters for issuing a warning. But the conditions that exist may cause great inconvenience or significant inconvenience. It's issued for less serious conditions than warning, and if you don't exercise caution, it could lead to situations that could threaten life and property. So let's talk about what you report. I'm sorry, I'm so used to walking around, this is hard for me. I am down the aisles, across the front, it's hard to stay in one spot.
I
Okay,
think they always stand and walk around. Or maybe
does it come off each way?
right, you right, like you use your it's what you take one.
Check where?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that would walk back. Look straight out now.
Does it have to have this attached to it?
And you so.
I used to teach, and it's hard for me to stay in one place.
Be gone.
Would that help?
Top rate.
That help. Oh yeah, rocking now, thank you. Okay. So, what are you gonna report? First thing you're gonna report is hail. And you report any size hail to start with. Most of the time it starts out small and sometimes it stays small, but sometimes it gets larger, within a minute or so. So you're gonna report any size hail, even if it's little pea size, rice size, whatever. At the end of the event, you want to at the end of the event, you want to report the largest hailstone that you observe. Now, if you were to look down on the ground, you would see all different sizes, and you might see some pea size, some dime size, nickel size. By golly, there is a quarter size piece of hail. That's what you want to report, the largest that is observed. Even if it's only one piece out of all of them. Okay? That's what the National Weather Service wants, the very largest you observe. If you're not sure of the size, you can compare it to a known object. It can be a coin, golf ball, whatever, or you can measure it. The one thing they don't want, what is it, Justin, that they got?
Marble size.
Marble size hail. Can anybody tell me why you wouldn't want marbles?
Your big size.
It's what?
Different size.
Come in different sizes, and to me that may mean to shoot a marble, and to you it meant that little bitty marble. Okay. Anyway, so don't report marble-sized hail. All right. The National Weather Service archives that data. It's often used by insurance, but you can see the damage even pea-sized hail does to crops. You can see what it does to roofs and siding and cars. And this was tennis ball-sized hail that took out the windshield of this car right here, and just really shredded the siding. Okay, they want estimated or measured wind speeds of 50 miles per hour or greater. Anybody have an anemometer? Okay. And as part of that weather station, when you report, you want to report a measured wind speed if you have that anemometer. If you'll just say, hey, I have a Tempest weather station, I have a Davis weather station, whatever it is. The one thing that I asked you not to use, and this is on behalf of the National Weather Service, someone gave us a report one time, I think it was about a 72 per hour wind gust. And this person actually had a weather station. I knew they had a Davis. And so I said over the air, really for the benefit of listeners, so they'd know to report their weather station. I said, use your Davis weather station? I said, no. I said, what did you use? Well, there was this phone app, and you hold it up, and I thanked him for his report. And but that's not an accurate, valid, reliable method of measuring wind speed. So I'm just going to share that. I don't even know how that technology would work. Okay. If you don't have a weather section, you can use the Beaufort wind scale, and you're going to report what you observed, and the National Weather Service will infer the wind speed based on the damage report and the time of the event. And really, when you want to make that report is look at 55 miles per hour and greater. When you start seeing damage, large branches are broken, trees uprooted, shingles are flying, mobile homes are overturned, roofs torn off, you know that's severe weather time. Okay, flooding. Flooding is the number one cause of death is associated with thunderstorms, and there are 90 an average of about 90 across the nation. So you want to report flooding and flash flooding where it doesn't normally occur. Now, let's say you live out in the country and you've got a dip in your driveway, and every time you have a thunderstorm, there's a foot of water until, a couple hours later it drains. That's not what you would report. A flooded roadway has 6 inches of moral water on it. So if the water is over the curb, you can assume that is 6 inches and report that. You want to report if the water is standing or flowing. Flowing is dangerous. Flowing water 6 inches of flowing water can knock a standing person off their feet. Is it the flooding rising, staying steady, falling, or any businesses or homes threatened, cars stalled in flood waters? Do not report ponding. If you see 2 inches of ponding sort of on the side of the road, just be careful. Drive according to the conditions. But you don't necessarily need to report that. You're going to report when water is over 6 feet. If you saw this picture right here, what would you report? I will tell you, this is from Franklin Street in Chapel Hill, not too long ago. Well, no, anybody else like me, the older you get, when you say not too long ago, it means within the last 10 years, maybe. Huh?
Looks like he's 8, Charlie said.
Could be. That was the information I had. What would you report from that?
The car stalled, Steve. Couple of feet of water and the car stalled.
Okay, if I were looking at this, I could report water up to the top of the headlights, and I can see that it's up to almost the top of the hips of these gentlemen. So I would probably estimate 2.5 to 3 feet maybe of water. It looks like the car is stalled out and perhaps a water rescue is going on. So those would be appropriate things, as well as the actual address where this is occurring. Okay, you're going to report rotating wall clouds, funnel clouds, or tornadoes. Bob's going to cover a whole lot more about the meteorology of those. But a wall cloud is basically a roaring at the base of the storm. Warm air is being sucked up, it is rising, and it's also pulling in some rain-cooled air into it. Condensation occurs, and so you get the lowering of the wall cloud. But the key thing here is it rotating? Rotation is critical because off the wall cloud, you could have the funnel cloud. The funnel cloud's going to be rotating, wall cloud's rotating, and then a funnel cloud might become a tornado. The funnel cloud violently a spinning column of air attached to the base of the storm, but not yet on the ground, like the bottom. How about the top one? You think that's on the ground?
Single rest coming off the creek.
It's on the ground because we see debris being kicked up. So the top right one is a tornado. You just can't see the condensation funnel on the ground yet. Okay. We know that the one on the left-hand side is not on the ground because there's no debris. And then this is a full-fledged mature tornado in the bottom right. Okay. It's possible when a funnel cloud reaches about halfway down, it could be on the ground anytime. Okay. What could you be asked? Oh, we'll go back. If it doesn't spin, report it in. Say that to yourself a couple of times. Critical to remember, if it doesn't spin, don't call the National Weather Service. Don't call Skywarn. If it doesn't spin, don't report it in. I will tell you this though, if you are unsure, maybe you're too far away, or you're concerned about safety, call it in and we will check for you. We'll ask a meteorologist and verify this. We want you to be safe and we want you to feel safe. Okay, questions you could be asked. First thing National Weather Service is going to ask you is it rotating? How far beneath the cloud base does the funnel cloud extend? Do you see any debris being kicked up? Any damage you're noticing? Any injuries? Is it a mature tornado or is it lengthened out like a snake or a piece of rope? That's an indication that it's beginning to die out. Still dangerous. What direction is it moving? Now, what do you think about that top right picture? What would you report there? Is it a funnel? Is it a tornado? Or can you tell?
Oh, yes, it's not.
I'm hearing various answers. What do you think, David? I can't tell because it extends below the tree line. So that's what I would put. Either a tornado, I would report either a tornado or a funnel. I can't tell if it's on the ground because it's behind the tree line. Okay, I'm not making any assumptions. I'm reporting what I actually see. Okay, all kinds of lookalikes. Would that top left picture scare you? Yeah. And this one had no rotation, whatever. It's an SLC cloud. You heard of an SLC cloud? Scary looking cloud. That was named by the National Service. Okay. To the right, upper top, this is a rain shaft, and from a distance, it can look suspicious. Here on the left is a very old picture. There used to be storm chasers on Nova Public TV, and they were chasing a tornado, and they saw this. It's kind of hard to see from here, but right there. And they yelled out tornado and got all excited. Well, there was a storm and there was rotation, but this was smoke, and it was pulling the smoke up. So maybe a smoke anyway. All right, and then over here, this is a nuclear power plant, the steam coming off of it. You can imagine how many reports this National Weather Service office gets. So it's important to be aware of your surroundings. If you live close to a nuclear power plant, be where it is. Be aware of it.
You just imagine some panic person saying, "There's a tornado right over the nuclear plant."
Yeah. Okay, you're always going to report storm damage. You will report any siding or roof damage, down limbs or trees, their approximate diameter, down power lines and power poles. This was from this was several years ago. A tornado struck 4 miles south of Oxford, and you can see here a number of trees are sheared off about halfway up. So you might report, they look like pine trees too. You might report 5 to 7 pine trees broken off, maybe 20, 25 feet high. You want to report anything that's moved that is substantial. You don't have to report lawn furniture that's blown around. But if you saw something, a car turned over, for example, maybe even a boat turned over, you could report that. If you have a trampoline, no, trampolines will turn over fairly quickly and run. Here was tornado damage from, whoops. Right here, this was 2011. This was the Cardinal subdivision in Raleigh. You want to be accurate. Could you report the roof is gone? Yeah, it's gone. Could you report part of the second floor is gone? Yes. You want to be careful when you say the roof has been destroyed, because let's say that a quarter of the shingles are gone, but the structure is still there. You would just say, well, the shingles are gone. So try to be as accurate as you can. This was from a downburst in Leggett, North Carolina, back in about 2005, and the microburst hit, and you can see it is flipped over. This mobile home is no longer structurally sound. In fact, if you look very carefully, you can see the tie downs up top. So this is the kind of damage and things you can report. Okay, let's do a quick recap. What would you report here?
Flooding.
Flooding?
Well, some of that's just in case we say hard walk from the port yard.
Okay, let's look at this one first.
Well,
Is this road crossable? Should you attempt it?
exactly what considering, but
No, that's right. You don't know how structurally sound, and while it may look intact at this moment, 10 seconds from now it may not be. And in fact, you can see this was a diphtheria, so it's a bridge over flowing water. You would report that and report it as impassable. Okay, this was I think this was Pitt County. No, this was Clayton, near Clayton, North Carolina. You pull up here and you see this. Should you go through it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Called it easy, but it's difficult to tell how deep. So if you record, difficult to tell how deep.
Okay. So difficult to assess. What do you see? Do you see anything else?
So I do have a car.
Okay, a car's already floated off that, so it's likely the water could be at least 6 inches deep and it's flowing. We know there's a problem. It only takes, I think, about 12 to 18 inches to float a car or an SUV. All right, this was something that happened in Briar Creek, and there was a videographer that had to be pregnant. Oh my gosh, videographer had to be present, everybody, and he was owned a finished condo building, and he was just videotaping and commenting on those that were going up. Bob, if you would just tap the picture. Just out as this start. Let me see if I can do it with your hard. That's a mic drum. Okay, well, they work at home. You know how that goes. It's a different system. And anyway, he happened to catch, okay, because that shows this is a weaker building than one that had been complete. Okay, and the video actually showed the winds going through and trash and debris. And behind this on Briar Creek, there were a number of trees that were just blown down. And one of the other things I should have mentioned about trees is it's important to mention whether they were broken midway up or if they were uprooted. A lot of times trees will uproot in wind that is not as strong, especially if there's been a lot of rain. So if you can distinguish that, you may be asked. Okay, if you were looking at this was right after the April 16, 2011. I rode up to North Raleigh and I took a picture. What would you report here?
Always for you to have a tree broken out.
Okay, he just said a number of trees have been broken off, and if I had to guess, they might have been anywhere from 20 to 25 feet in height, and their diameter looks like they were pretty mature trees, so they might be anywhere from maybe 1.5 to 2 feet in diameter. Okay. Excellent. He reported there is a tree that is laying on the house. In fact, it's actually bisected and caused significant structural damage. This is significant structural damage to this building. What else do you notice? Power lines are down. Good observation. So you'd want to report that. Okay. It's okay to report large tree limbs down. You'll notice this looks anywhere 6, 8, 10 inches in diameter, 12 inches. But please don't report that. Okay? What else not to report? Lightning unless there is damage. This would be okay to report. And I'm happy to tell you that no passengers were injured. They all got out of the car, and if you look, watch how many people converge real quickly on this. It reminds you of an anthill. Anyway, the passengers were fine. Please do not report a personal power outage. Call your power company. These are actual reports that we have gotten in Skywarn that are not what we asked for. It's raining cats and dogs. That just tells me you've got hard rain occur, heavy rain, or at least the rate per hour is heavy for a few minutes. It's getting dark to the northwest. It's really windy here. 2 inches of water on the road, and then nothing is happening here. The problem is when people call in and make these reports, it may prevent somebody from getting their report in quicker who really has a valid report that the National Weather Service needs to know. Like, there's a tornado on the ground and somebody else saying nothing happened where I am. Okay. Final reporting procedures. You want to report the event, what it is you observed. Was it the hail, the winds, the flooding, the damage? Where did it occur? Street and cross street, city and county, time of the event that you observed, and how long it lasted if you know. Photo is great, especially if you're reporting something that is a more rare event. If I had golf ball size hail, you better bet I'm going to run out there and put that golf ball size hail in my hand and take a picture of it. Maybe take a picture with a ruler with it too. This person did a great job because they supplied a portal with theirs, so it's easy to see the scale. You want to report only what you observe and hear. What you observe and hear, not your wife's hairdresser's sister's boyfriend said he saw on the way to work. Okay, let me ask you this. Yes?
It says latitude, longitude, you also use a grid coordinate.
I'm sorry.
You use a grid coordinate.
You can use coordinates. Okay. I'm going to give you a quick scenario. There's a tornado watch out. Now, a few minutes later, a tornado warning is issued for your county, your location. You're a good spotter, you go take cover and you get your family into that room on the lowest floor of your house, away from any exterior windows, and you are going to wait there until you know everything's clear. And while you're waiting, you realize the wind is picking up and you hear the sound of a freight train, and the walls are shaking, and then it's over. And you go out and look at your yard and think, dodged a bullet. And you look over at your neighbor's house and half his roof is gone.